So we'll call a meeting to order at 2:10 for the Groveland Historical Commission. And we're going to start off with the townwide historical home and building survey that Linda's been working on. So Linda, do you want to give us a little bit of a rundown on it so far?
Well, we pretty much need one more go-around to do all the houses in town. And the National Register also has the same dates. So I'm thinking we shouldn't be doing both at the same time.
Right.
That's not going to work out well. Now, my feeling was we should probably go with the Register. I've been doing research on that. And then after that, because it's a whole year cycle, you have to pre-apply, and then if you get the okay, and then I found out whether I'm kind of crossing over into the Register, but you have to have certain photographs and letters. It's pretty involved.
So do we have to submit letters and the pictures?
Yes.
We do.
And I can make copies of this. I got in touch with Michael Steinitz. You know Michael. He's still there.
Is he really?
But his expertise, he's not in charge of the historical register.
Michael's in charge of,
preservation.
Preservation, really, at the Mass
He
Historic.
forwarded my email to Ben Haley,
Don't know him.
and I can make copies of this. Basically, I asked him how we could get started, and there are grants available, and you need to submit pictures. He said, there are templates you have to put the pictures in. The document must include any relevant information on the building since it was documented in 2017. Well, we haven't done anything since 2017. We will need a complete set of current interior and exterior photos of the building, key to site plans, floor plans. These should be embedded in inventory continuation sheets, and you can download those. If it's larger than 15 megabytes, you have to put it on a disk and mail it to him instead, because they won't take anything larger than that. I don't even have a computer that takes a CD anymore, but
So we need a photographer.
yeah, I was thinking maybe Tracy would do it.
Tracy's pretty busy.
Oh, well, we'd have to have.
I've done it. I've done this in the past. I did it in 1980. I went to 12 towns. I worked for a Cedar Project in 1980, and I did the historical homes in 12 towns. And I went and took the exterior photos of the houses, just that. And then I went and found photographs that were like 100 years old, and I copied the location so that I could do juxtaposition between the old photograph and the way it looked in the present day.
Oh, that's neat. That's good to know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not quite sure what they mean by photos key to the site plans, floor plans.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
I'm not sure you even have those.
I don't think we have floor plans.
I don't
At
think we
least
do
I've
either.
never seen them.
This is.
When they say keyed to the site plans, it sort of reminds me of what you're saying, connected to the same angle. I don't know, but that's what, when it says site plans, that's what.
It's not like we have architectural blueprints,
Right.
Yeah, it's going to be
Right.
architectural prints probably.
but we don't have any.
Right.
No,
You know, the material that we received last year from the VZ family,
yes.
I wonder if there's anything in all
I'll have to
that.
look. As I say, this is just the
It's gonna take a
just
couple of
opening.
days to go through.
And actually, the MHC has not even posted the new fiscal year 24 dates yet. They still have the old dates up there. So
That's helpful.
I was doing it yesterday. I guess I wanted to, do you think we should do the National Register first, or do you think we should do the last?
What sounds easiest?
I think I'd rather tackle the Register first.
It might give us some leeway in a couple of directions with what we want to do you think?
Yeah, because I mean, There's no way I would even suggest we undertake both of them simultaneously, no.
No, no.
I know how long it took to do the last.
Well, if
The
I
last
can
one.
make a suggestion, I'd be willing to start photographing any homes inside and out. We can just keep them on file.
We're talking about this now.
Right,
We're just talking about Washington Hall.
okay,
Because
Yeah.
we hire someone through the state because we get matching grants
okay,
to do all that stuff.
okay.
Okay, so, and it's a job. I'm telling you, you can look at those afterwards to see
Right.
how entailed it is. And they have to have a master's degree
Yep.
in what?
In preservation, historical preservation. And there are only
So,
certain people on the list who you can consider hiring.
and the state has the whole list of people that they will allow to do this.
And actually, the
So,
state has they can say yay or nay, really.
right, right.
Is that out of the Mass Archives at Columbia Point? Is that what it comes out of?
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. The first round of research was done by Jane Holden and Gus Gustafson, if you know those two. They were both in the Historical Commission. They're both from town. And they did a fantastic job. They really
Yeah,
did.
considering that's not their area of expertise.
Right, right.
They did a wonderful job.
Very impressed.
I mean, I would never undertake that. That's not my, I don't have any knowledge in that area that I,
Jane lives in Andover now. She gets rides to church every Sunday from people in the church to,
Tracy's,
Oh, that's
good.
Tracy's doing it
she's a
now.
very nice lady. She's
she's very nice.
well thought of in church.
She's from Maine, I think, originally.
Could have been. Kenny, her husband went to
these
Bates
people.
College up in Bates in Lewiston.
Right.
Yeah.
All the people that have been involved, that I know of, been involved with the Historical Society and the Commission are not from Groveland, except for, ta-da!
Well, Bob
I was born in
got,
Haverhill.
I don't know where, I
came
don't know where
across the
Bob
river.
was from. Didn't he grow up in Groveland?
Bob, yeah, grew up on School
Groveland did.
Street down
Okay.
behind next down Park.
Bob did, yeah.
He was an
Yeah.
exception.
He was.
We just kind of thought it was humorous. Most of the people end up being from out of state.
I think Tracy Guilford grew up in Groveland too. I think.
He did.
Yeah, up in Union Street.
So, okay, so we'll do it your way.
And I'll make copies of this on our copier and give one to everybody. And I
Okay,
will start contacting Ben Haley again.
okay. I'll need another loose leaf binder.
Yeah, but one more go around for the town historical building survey should do it.
That's great.
Now, the question you had on there on submitting the photo, is that something that he can help you with? Because didn't you have a question on there about you had to submit some kind of photo and you didn't have a CD on your?
Oh. Actually, my husband's computer, he has a desktop, an old desktop. I could probably do it. I don't know why they don't switch to flash drives, but I'll ask Ben that.
Yeah, maybe ask him that, if you can do it on that makes more sense. It's probably such an old letter, it says disk, but yeah, a USB drive, that makes
Put it
sense.
on a disc. I can't remember the last time I used a CD.
Yeah, that's sort of scary, that's a very historical letter.
Mine doesn't have a disk drive.
Yeah,
My laptop
no,
doesn't
you know
either.
what, I bet it's just a form letter, and, you know, I would think that a USB drive would do it, but yeah, ask him.
I mean, that
And
would
then
be
maybe
normal, like-
suggest that they change their form letter to not say disk.
And they also had a few little boo-boos on their website, old names and addresses for people to contact. Well, they,
Claire, I had a quick aside about Vinnie's offer. Do we have calendars? Don't we produce calendars in town for the
Each year.
historical? Yeah.
Yes.
What if Vinnie took pictures of some of the older homes in town? We made a calendar that we.
We were doing things like
Yeah.
that initially when we started the calendars, and then they just kind of, really weren't doing that great. So someone had an idea of doing one for the Pines, for the Speedway,
Yeah.
and I'm telling you, we sold all 100 of them last year.
Wow.
And almost 100 the year before, and we went to color
Yeah.
2 years ago, and ta-da.
I know Vinnie took some nice pictures of the Merrimack River watershed and we out there a few years ago, right, Vinnie? You were on the water.
Yeah, well, that was the camera they gave us.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, it was nothing I kept.
Yeah, that was
They
good.
supplied us with cameras.
Who did?
Yeah, we were taking pictures of all of the runoff pipes that are coming into the river.
From what's all been Newburyport all the way up to Havel, right? Yeah.
It went all the way up to Newburyport.
Yeah.
Just in the line.
Don't get me going on that.
Right.
He's a historian documentation expert.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I guess that kind of takes care of those two. So demolition delay. So I spoke to Rebecca, who's our town planner.
Rebecca Olden?
Yep.
Yeah.
And she was instrumental in getting this into Methuen, where she worked before. So she's willing to help us a little bit with this. And she said that, I asked her if she had spoken to Christopher Skelly, does that name ring a bell? From the Historical Commission. And she said yes, and he was very helpful. So, you know, hopefully he's still there. I mean, he should be, because he was fairly young the last time I saw him. So we can, you know, I'll contact him, and I Googled demolition delay, and I gave you a packet, a little packet, not as big as this one, last time, and it just shows pictures of.
I got one.
Yeah, I had mine.
No, I
home.
have one.
I
Oh,
had
you do
home
have
too.
one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Anybody else?
Hold on.
So essentially what we're gonna do is we're gonna save buildings from being demolished, like we saved this one from being burnt down by our friends next door.
That was pretty common over the years, the fire departments to practice on old abandoned structures.
They actually burnt a house down on Gardner Street, oh, not that long ago, within the last 20 years, I think.
I remember
Next to Eddie Reed's house, right?
Yeah,
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 They
and then
were-
they built another one,
They burned down a house on Bear Hill Road too.
right, right. How long ago was that? That was within the last
Within
20
the
years.
last 20 years.
Yeah.
Was anybody in it?
I'm sorry?
Was anybody in it?
No, unfortunately, they both died.
The fire department's gonna burn this down? Is that how they get rid of it?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
It's
to practice.
Drill.
They like to practice, okay? And so I found out about it. I don't remember how I found out about it, but I called Jane Holden, having an absolute tizzy fit. And she said, calm down, sit down and calm down. She says, I called the state and put it on the most endangered building list. So we're all set. They can't touch it. So I'm like, phew. And I don't remember how I found out. Someone told me.
Was Edie Minicello involved then?
No, she had passed.
Oh.
No, Edie would, she would have had a fit.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. They were in Johnson's Pond one night practicing rescues. And we were having our management meeting at VZ, and they didn't tell us what they were doing. They were just down in the pond, the lights were flashing, and I mean, there was all kinds of commotion down there. We thought somebody drove, you know, into the pond.
Actually,
Off the street.
Steve Patron, the police officer and the fire department rescued it, saved someone's life there within the last couple of years.
Yeah,
Right by the entrance to BZ Park.
right. I don't know. But anyway, so I think we've got them like settled down. I don't think there's anything else that we're interested in that they can burn at this point. The thing that really sticks out in my mind as far as demolition delay goes is, you know, the property at the end of King Street.
Parker property?
It's not good.
It's not good at all, you know, I mean, it could burn, you know, something could happen and it could burn, but
Has Sam Johnson got involved, the building inspector and all, make any evaluation? Or?
I don't know, I haven't talked to him about any of this stuff. I decided I was gonna start with Rebecca, you know, to try to get the verbiage down pat. So Are there any questions about any of this stuff? I mean, I know it's kind of complicated, it's not things that we're normally involved in. At least I haven't been in the past, so it's new to me,
I don't know what questions to ask.
yeah.
Right.
I think we just have to dive into it and, come up with whatever questions we can find.
How about the Smith House down by, have you done Saveryville Way, is that the one?
The brother lives on
Carl
Saver
Smith?
Lane,
Yeah,
Carl,
yeah.
and I believe the house was just sold.
All right.
Okay.
It's off the for sale list.
Yeah, I saw something, and the picture wasn't there, and the write-up wasn't there, but I did see something, and it sounded like the right house. So I think it got sold for over $1 million.
Which house is this now?
Carl's
85
house.
Main Street.
Oh,
No, well, we're talking about two different houses.
okay.
Oh, Carl's House on the river.
85 is across from the Savory Estate. You know where the Savory Estate is?
It's right on Main Street, right on Main Street.
It has.
Is that the White House with the trucks and the,
Like red on the ends, the little red.
it's on Main Street?
Yeah.
It's white and
No.
red.
It's not white. It's like a yellow,
Oh, I thought that was
light
white.
goldish.
Yeah, it's
color.
white. It has a little red sort of.
I'm talking the Savory Estate now.
That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, that,
Okay.
yeah. That's across the
When
street.
you're coming down King Street, you look across the street,
It's a Victorian.
guest house, okay.
It's a Victorian, okay. It's on the same side as Nichols Village.
Oh,
You're
okay,
going towards Nichols Village is
Okay.
before that bend,
okay,
okay? And it's a
I'm not
Victorian with a mansard roof.
okay, I'm not
It's
familiar.
yellow. It's got Rufus Porter murals in it. I don't know what kind of shape they're in at this point because there's been maybe
Those
three different.
In the hallway with the murals,
Hmm.
I worked in that house. I did some wallpapering in that house when I first moved to town.
Really?
Yeah, and they had on those walls, they had like charcoal sketches and paint of, I don't know, just different scenes, rural type scenes. Nothing too sophisticated, but I think she said they were on 1850, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
Well, the house
that
down the
would be
street
right.
on Main Street has some Rufus Porter murals too.
Yeah,
I
they're
have
not.
a copy of it.
They're not in as good a condition as the Savory Estate because that house is right on the corner. You know where my house is, right on that corner, Stacy's Curve, okay? That big house, what is it? I think it's a Victorian.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
No, it's not a Victorian.
I don't think it's Victoria.
No. Oh, well, anyway. A lot of trucks have gone around that corner, so it's cracked the walls and the paintings have been, damaged. People have talked about, fixing up the things and, they asked me, previous owner asked me about it and I said, I really don't know anyone that could touch that, you're gonna have to really talk to some professional painters.
Right.
Yeah, I'm
They
sure it
do.
would be pricey.
Oh, would they? Yeah, definitely. So anyway, what other buildings would you consider endangered?
With the passage of the church. Should that be in the historical register?
I think so. I think that I don't know for sure, but maybe the church can go on the
Yeah.
register, okay? Because now churches aren't allowed to, as far as I know, they're not here anyway. In Groveland, they're not allowed to
Yeah.
get CPA money to do any,
Yeah, the church was built in 1790, the existing building,
Right.
yeah.
right. And then the parsonage was built later
I
on.
think so, yeah. I don't know if Gardner Perry,
His family evidently paid for
oh,
the
wow.
building. But
He was minister there from 1814 to 1859, right before the War of 1812, right before the Civil War.
wow.
He had quite a...
We have a picture of him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we do. There's a little story behind it, but I won't say it now.
Old town gossip.
No, it's not. It's not gossip. It's actually the truth. So Dale, what do you think? Is this a big nut? Nothing.
Work on the National Register, and the town person's gonna help us on the demolition delay. Sounds like a plan.
Thank you. You always have to reach out to people that have experience when you're trying to do something that you don't know anything about. And, Rebecca's got quite a bit of experience, and she's been in contact with a lot of people over the years. Not that she's old, but, she's been doing this kind of thing for quite a while.
I'm just curious, I wonder how many towns that do have demolition delays, I wonder how many.
There's quite a few.
I wonder if
There's-
how many of them made a difference in terms of the
It's quite-
demolition.
They have it in Lexington and Concord, which are two of the biggest towns in the whole Commonwealth, I think.
I've heard of those two towns.
Have you?
Has it
I
worked
mean,
for them, do
they've-
you know?
Pardon me?
Have they saved any buildings?
I don't know. I didn't read the whole thing, but we had a engineer come and talk to us years ago for the Historical Society, and he drove around town before he came and did his little spiel to us. And he said, you have more historical homes in Groveland than we do in Lexington now, because so many people have moved into Lexington, torn down the old houses, and built new ones. Like mansions, mini mansions.
One
Which
building
is
they tore
a
down,
shame.
Squire's Tavern down in the center of town years ago. It was supposedly the Revolutionary War. Some of the soldiers in the area communities got together there, and had a few of the cold ones, and then went off in the Revolutionary War. I don't know if it must have been after Lexington or Concord, but they tore that building down. It was Edna Worthing's house when I was a little kid there. It was a beautiful little old home, but I went in it a few times. It was kind of shaky, so.
Wasn't it Dorton?
Next to Bortolazzi was the bigger house on by Chestnut Street, and this was between Chestnut and the old pharmacy, the Packard garage.
You should talk to my husband. He's from Waltham.
Wasn't that Doris Lloyd's old house?
Yeah, she lived there after Edna Worthing lived there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Dan-
thought,
Dan
you,
and
I
Doris-
thought you were talking about Lexington.
No,
No,
I'm sorry.
Groveland.
that was in tough shape.
Oh, Doris's house? Oh my goodness.
You just seen when Lloyd fixed it up when Edna Worthing lived there. It was borderline.
The back of the house was sitting in dirt.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Bob Guptill and I went in the day they were going to start tearing it down. Because I was down at Town Hall the day before, and I was talking to Patsy Skeena and saying, I was really kind of taken back that they were doing to tear this historic home down, And he's like, Claire, it's too bad, it's too far gone, And then we were going back and forth, All of a sudden this guy comes in from the hall, and it was the contractor. So he shows me a picture of this historic home he's going to build to replace that home.
What was the location on that?
270, 290,
You know Carl Booth lives at 289 Main Street. Where Chestnut Street is. Right next door to
Oh,
Chestnut.
did Mrs. Minicello own that house?
Next
No.
to Minicello's, between there and the square.
It was green, and she sold
Antiques. And
Antiques.
that was the
Down
Lloyd's
the
thing
new
there.
house, right?
clothing, antique clothing,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff like
They were
that.
very nice, the Lloyd's.
They
You're the
were.
one that had the antique store, antique shop in it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on the left side.
Yeah, right.
It was
Okay,
green.
but then Mrs. Minicello's house was an antique also.
That was a house.
They actually had a store there that was on Main Street. I don't remember, it was before I lived down there in the center of town, but they had a store there. A lot of these old-fashioned homes had they making money, they had a little business going.
Mhm.
Everybody had their shingle out doing something.
The Lloyd's came from Maine.
Yeah. How's their son Dan Jr. doing? Is he still in the area?
I don't think he's in Groveland now.
Huh?
He sold that house.
Down next to Ted Parker's?
Yeah.
Uh,
And the fellow that bought that house called me one day and he's like, I'm so-and-so and you are blah, blah, blah. And I said, yes. And he said, can you come over here? He says, I was digging a hole and it's close to the Parker house and it sounds like I hit tin. And I said, I'll be right down. So I thought probably he hit the underground tunnel, because there was a tunnel from their house,
Yeah.
you know, the Ward's house, to the Parker house,
The Underground Railroad.
underground, part of the underground
Right.
railroad. Yeah, the tunnels came up from the river, okay, so it came up to the Ward's house, then it went over to the Parker house, and then it went over to the next house, right? Where Frank lived.
Yeah.
So
That was the Parker
just those
house,
three.
too. Different Parker.
Oh, okay.
You go back far enough, they're probably all related.
Probably.
Probably.
Probably, yeah. So those three houses were all connected. And the Lord's house had a secret room. I don't know if the other two did. They probably did. And
They found chicken bones.
I've told, oh, shh. I was gonna tell the story
I'm
again.
sorry.
I was tell the story. So we had that Lord house on the first tour that we did. And so somebody showed me the hidden room, you know, it was up the stairs, like the second level. And the woman said, we found a bone in there too, just like this, you know. And I said, did you send it out to be analyzed? And she said, yes. I said, well, it was a chicken bone.
It reminds me of the diary of Anne Frank, how she hid in over there in Europe years ago.
Mm-hmm.
They were hiding from the people trying to capture the slaves in this country.
And then the Catholic priests were hidden in those, you know,
Well,
safe houses afterwards.
ooh.
Do any of those tunnels still exist in any fashion at all?
I think those tunnels are still there, you know, on Main Street. I think that's what he hit. I said, don't dig anymore. I said, just cover it up and leave it, you know? Because who knows, there might be a couple of bodies down there, you know, for all we know.
Blackbeard's treasure.
That's in Lynn Woods.
Well, anyway, does anyone else have any stories to tell?
Chris, what do you got? Any story?
Still awake?
So have we completed our historical commission agenda?
I think we have. Does anyone have anything they want to bring up?
I wanted to ask you, so, I had mentioned earlier the house on Main Street. It's got the trucks, and there's two trucks in the driveway. You go down into King Street, you look across the street, and there's that white house.
Yeah, the
I don't
Parker's
know,
house.
whose house is that?
His name Parker.
And there's nobody in it, yeah.
No. His father
And
died.
they just fixed the roof on one of the sheds. The shed roof was
Yeah,
falling.
the garage and the shed.
And
yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
came in.
Really?
It was a shed,
Yeah.
not a garage. And the carpenters were in there one day, ripped the roof off and they replaced it.
No kidding.
Yeah,
Wow.
Wow.
that one day.
That's amazing. Because nothing's been done.
That's interesting.
Nothing's been done in many, many years.
The greenery's really grown up around it.
That's a Parker house.
Charlie, my husband walked by there today and he said, you can't even see.
No.
The
It's
whole-
like, it's like
you
I
a
think it's
see
more the
the-
rain, because we have a lot of growth in our house and School Street,
It's
the
grown
backyard.
onto the sidewalk, it's grown up, you
Oh,
can't
the
even,
rain.
you can't even see the house.
Yeah.
The houses.
Do you know which house we're talking about?
I think I do.
So if you come out of King Street,
Yeah.
okay.
I know,
it's
because when
right at you.
I walk that way all the time, I walk to the library. all
Actually,
the
there are two
time.
houses there now.
Oh.
There used to
And
be
it's-
three, but now there are two.
And it's such a shame, because it looked like it had
It
good
was
bones.
a beautiful
I
house.
yeah.
I bet,
It
I
was,
bet.
it was a showpiece.
I bet.
Mm.
I didn't realize that there was nobody yet. I wondered, because it looked so terrible.
Well, the man lived alone for many, many
Yeah,
years.
Ted Park, I used to go and he used to play golf with my uncle every summer, Cy Twombly. And we used to go into the house and he'd sit there, they'd have coffee and donuts. And I was like probably, 8, 10, 12 years old or something. And it was kind of neat. Ted would tell stories about the family and the town of Groveland and all this stuff. And
He was personable. I met him once.
this
or
is
twice-
Ted
once or
Senior.
twice.
Ted Junior's won the World War II. This is his father, that was born in the 1800s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he lived there by himself. He was a widower. When we
Yeah.
moved, in 1973, we moved to town. And Mr. Parker, the older Mr. Parker, lived there. He was very nice.
Yeah, Ted Senior, yeah.
Danielle used to go sell Girl Scout cookies to him. And he died.
Yeah.
And then Ted lived by himself there.
Yeah, he was a World War II prisoner of war, Ted Jr. He's got to be well into his 90s now, but Yeah,
He was always very personable.
yeah.
Mm.
And then the Stevenses rented back the
Yeah,
the
they had a
half.
house back there, yeah.
Yeah, 'cause they had a cat that lived to be 23 years old.
What?
I still remember the cat had its own bedroom.
That's why he left to be 23?
My brother-in-law had a friend, who lived in Merrimack, he had a friend that lived in that house. You go visit on occasion, but that's as much as I know.
Mm.
But he used to spend time there on occasion.
Well, eventually the
It's a
Stevenses
shame.
died. And then things, Ted Parker lived in a small house nearest to where the Sadowskis used to live.
Uh-huh.
Frank Sadowski, he was a good,
Yes,
like,
that's-
artist, yeah.
That was the one that got torn down.
Fell down,
The
yeah.
little house.
On the back there, they had a little path, a little walkway to go to.
Mm.
It was sagging for a long time.
And then it kind of collapsed.
But the pièce de résistance was the old country store that was next to the church, and across from Ted Parker's house in the corner where the end of King
Pike's-
Street. Yeah,
Pike's
Pike's
store.
Country Store, that was quite the store.
It only took 20 minutes for them to knock that down and put this stuff in a truck and drive up.
That was probably
Danielle and I
sitting
were
on the
standing at the
ground
window
too.
watching, and it was like,
You know what
it was nothing. It just boom, 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 boom.
you know what the credit was? When I was a little kid, my mom would take us in the grocery shop, and she'd go to the butcher, Mr. Cook, and then Joe. And then we'd get up to the cash register, which was an old-fashioned one, and they'd fill out a 3x5 index card with your name, Mrs. Gray, you owe $2, next time. And they'd write, that was the credit card at the time.
A running tab.
Like a little 3x5 index card, and he had this little card file.
That was high tech in the day.
And it worked too, because I think they paid their bills.
I have a little interesting thing, I don't know if you know that on King Street, in the corner of King and Center, that house is for sale again. The one I think they used to call the Quaker House.
The
Oh,
Rands
yes.
was there.
Okay.
Yeah,
The Hendrixes lived there, you know the Hendricks?
they used to have a little horse corral there.
But anyway, they went in and painted the whole thing, and it's up for sale again. That'll be this will be the third time since I moved there.
Wow.
Yes, it's been a big turnover in that house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyway,
And my sister's best friend from high school, Helen Rand. In fact, they might go to the reunion up here at
It's a
BZ
beautiful
Park.
house.
It's very nice. They used to have a nice corral with horses there in the backyard. Yeah.
What reunion is that?
For the class of 71, they have their 50, what would that be, 52nd up at VZ Park with the class of 73. So my sister, they're trying to get a group together. I'm younger than that, Claire. The class of 71. Close.
I'm not talking.
I did talk to the
Class of
painters. They
66.
said that
Congratulations.
the living room was kept the
I
same
did go to my
with the
50th.
low beams
Nice.
and the hearth.
Mm-hmm.
But the rest of it was probably gutted, is my guess.
From what I heard, it was,
Yeah.
which is a shame.
I was gonna ask them to let me in and look around, but no, maybe not.
That's
Not
the
a good idea.
1700s house, right?
Oh, the other thing I was gonna say is, they used to say, there was a plaque that said 1723, and they took the date off. Plaque is still there, but they took the date off.
Why'd they take the date?
Well, my guess is because it says for sale, nobody wants to go buy. I said, 1723, honey, that house is way too old, I'm not buying, I'm not interested in that house. That's gotta be the only reason, why else would they take the date off?
Yeah,
Doesn't make any sense.
but I think either you like old houses or you
Yeah,
don't.
right,
I mean,
right.
Right.
There's no,
They-
there's
they're
no
more
real
curb-
middle ground.
We got more curb appeal if you don't think it's 250 years old.
Nice.
Did you see whose house is on the market?
I'm trying to think.
Dornis.
Who's?
Dornis.
Oh, yes, I know, yeah, Lynn has it for sale. I saw that,
Big transition.
yeah.
All right,
They did a
so,
lot, they did a lot of work.
oh, ton of work, ton of work. Absolutely. Okay, so if no one has anything else to
Meeting
talk about,
adjourned.
I think we'll call the meeting at, oh boy,